They do more than once first. Colton and Kimberly met on a blind date at La Brea, and we will be married for 10 years in September. Before having the opportunity to stay at home with her kids, Kimberly was a media specialist, which was like school librarian, at Colin Ferry for 6 years, and a 4th and 5th grade teacher before that. Kimberly loves to cook, travel, walk, and read. She is a member of Grace Fellowship Church and has been part of the Mom Time ministry for 5 years, stepping up into leadership roles the last 3 of them. She considers herself to be oh so blessed and loving the journey God is taking her family on. So, we will get started. Thank you. So I'm going to talk today about, some of you may have heard Brene Brown, the author. She's written lots of great books, and one in particular is called The Gifts of Imperfection. And I'll be honest, the first time I really heard about this book was Oprah does these Soul Sundays. If you've seen them, where they're on like Discovery Plus and things like that. So I watched the thing and I was like, oh my gosh, this speaks so much to moms and the Mom Time group. So I got the book spare the day it came out because I'm obsessed with the Royals. Eloise Kate, named after Kate Middleton. So I'm like in the middle of spare, I'm like dying to finish because, you know, Netflix is coming out anyways. I get the Gifts of Imperfection book and I can't put this book down. I still haven't even finished spare. So I'm really excited to speak to you guys about this. I also have this book, which I will reference towards the end, but this one is a miscarriage book, and it's an excellent book if you know of anybody that's going through that. So that one we'll talk about later. This we'll get started with. So I will say I don't do well with public speaking, especially because I'm speaking from the heart. So I'm going to read, because I think I will do better if I read rather than try to go off of it myself. So we'll get started. Jessica, do you mind passing out? There is a little handout sheet, the 10 guideposts for wholehearted living, and then on the back of it is a manifesto, and Jessica will pass that out. So we'll get started. All right, what is wholehearted living to you? If you can just take 10, 15 seconds, close your eyes, wholehearted living, what kind of jumps out to you as if you could live wholeheartedly? All right, so when I was thinking of wholehearted living, just like right off the bat, I am thinking living without fear, right? Fear for myself, my husband, my kids, being courageous, being joyful, because I'm not always joyful, and loving yourself and others. So that's what I think of wholehearted living. And when I started to read this book, I realized I don't know that I am living wholeheartedly, and her guideposts really stood out as things that could really benefit, and just as a good reminder. So wholehearted living. This is a life we all wish we could live every single day. Living wholeheartedly and not worrying about culture's expectations, our mom expectations, a woman's expectations in society, but truly living to be free. Brene Brown has written a beautiful book called The Gifts of Imperfection and explains how we can achieve wholehearted living in our own lives. I think this is especially important as we are all part of this Mom Time ministry because we want to connect, encourage, and grow together and be free to be who we are in this space together. We all live different lives outside of Mom Time. We all go to different churches. We all hang out with different groups of people. But we all want the same thing. We want to grow our own relationship in Christ, and we also want to help raise our children to know and love God. In her book, she outlines 10 guideposts for how we can live a wholehearted life, and we'll look at those in just a moment. But before you can cultivate her guideposts into your life, she lists out tools that will help you get there. The 3 tools that Brene Brown says you need are courage, compassion, and connection. You need those tools to wake up every single day and think that you're enough. You're worthy of love and belonging. But you have to have the willingness to let someone see you as imperfect, as real, and is relatable. It makes people have compassion for you and your life, regardless of whether they can actually relate to it or they've been in your shoes or not. It'll help strengthen the relationships in your life, whether these relationships are as a wife, a friend, a mom, a daughter, because you're living your life for who God made you to be, and not who you are pretending to be. And this is my motivation for wanting to share this with you. If you have a friend or a small group of friends or family that embraces your imperfections, your vulnerabilities, and power, and fills you with a sense of belonging, you should consider yourself really, really lucky. For me, Mom Time's that group. You are the people in the space in which I can live and try to be wholehearted. So let's get to the guidepost. You have a handout of what things you should let go more of, which is on the left side, and on the right side are the things that you should strive more to have. In the book, each of the guideposts has its own chapter, so I'm just kind of pulling out some things that I think can kind of help explain each guidepost a little better. So the first one is authenticity. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who you are and who God made you to be. Be brave with your life so that others can be brave with theirs. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and imperfect. It's really hard. As you work towards this, it's important to try and have compassion for others, because we're all made of strength, but we're all made of struggle and of sin. Speak up and connect with someone, because being you and real may be what sparks a meaningful relationship. And it would certainly be a more genuine one. Psalm chapter 139, verse 14. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. The second one is self-compassion. And I struggle with this one. The opposite of this is perfectionism. And this is the belief that if you live and you look and you say and you act perfectly, that you won't get shamed or blamed or judged. And if you're thinking right now, well, maybe I'm a perfectionist. Many of us are, and we were raised that way. We were raised and praised by performance as children. We thrived on good grades, a good school, especially when it came to college, your appearance, how many and how well you played sports, your manners, and if you were the people-pleasing child or the problem child. If you did not live up to the standards, you were shamed, blamed, and or judged, whether self-induced or induced by a parent, a sibling, a coach, or your peers. You're out there exhausting yourself to please, perform, and perfect. But the problem is this carries over into adulthood. And we want the perfect house now. You want to have the perfect family, the perfect kids. You want to be the perfect mom. But perfectionism is self-destructive. There's no such thing as perfect. And what's standard out there is a standard based on cultural expectations. It's unattainable. Remind yourself and others throughout the day to be kind to yourself and be mindful. Number 3 is resilient spirit. You need hope and perspective, but you also need purpose. Life is really hard and it can be really cruel. Our current culture wants us to believe that everything should be fun and fast and easy. Kids, your marriage, your finances, your life. Our culture wants you to find worthiness in your physicality, your accomplishments, your physical belongings, your cooking abilities, your kids' behavior. All these amazing posts and TikToks and things that are showing you all these meals and these flower arrangements and that all these people are eating. Y'all, Ellie Kate eats They'll Make a Cup and hot dog every single night for dinner. No shame. We need to be able to stop and set realistic goals for ourselves, not only as moms and wives, but as women of Christ. You must stay flexible and let God drive the ship. Believe in yourselves when things don't go as planned. Make sure you're seeing and hearing the things that you are seeing and hearing around you reflect healthy relationships. And healthy relationships with your life and your body and your family and God. I have no problem defriending or unfollowing anybody if I don't think it's a healthy relationship for me to be in and follow them. By keeping faith in God, you can heal yourself and create resilience. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. I've commanded you to be brave and strong, haven't I? Don't be alarmed or terrified, because the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Number 4, gratitude and joy. Joy is a feeling that is larger than this world, a feeling that fills you with hope and faith and love. Joy is much better than happiness. It's little moments that overcome you, baby giggles, loves and hugs and kisses, laughter. But joy is something you have to be open to find, because in life there are many joy stealers out there. And that's a word we use in our house a lot, joy stealers. Everywhere there's joy stealers. People can steal your joy with things that they say. Things you read or hear can steal your joy, which I know already it's Wednesday, but this week is, the news will give you lots of joy stealers this week in sadness. Your circumstances can steal your joy. You wake up, you didn't sleep good, you spill your coffee, you didn't, your children did. You're running late, you spiral into this dark cloud. How can you combat joy stealers? Show gratitude. Stop and say a moment. Thank you. Be grateful for the little things, but also the big things. Because gratitude and thankfulness will help you find the joy. Psalm chapter 9, verse 1. I will give thanks to you, Lord, with all my heart, and I will tell of all your wonderful deeds. Number 5 is intuition and trusting faith. We live in a really uncertain world, a world that can change overnight, like with COVID, a world that can bring heartache in a moment's notice, a world that can change your financial stability for you and your family. It's hard to believe in things that you can't see, but you must have faith in God. To live wholeheartedly, you have to know the risk of vulnerability and hurt, but know that the promise of God and what He can do for you now and forever is what you need to hold on to. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 16 through 19. I pray that out of His glorious riches, He may strengthen you with power through His Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. Number 6, creativity. Many of us have actually forgotten how to actively engage yourself in creativity. But being creative is simply allowing the gifts that God has given you to be the gifts that you share with the world. God designed you for you and gave your life its own purpose. There's so many ways you can show creativity. Through music, art, dancing, cooking, gardening, creating things. Hold tight to that. No one else in this room could be like you or have a family like you. But for some reason, we still compare ourselves. Our minds and our hearts can be very sneaky. You find similar people and circumstances, and you try to find a way to compare yourself to them. You want to pick your house and compare to someone else's house. You want to compare yourself to someone that you think is similar, but you're not the same. You want to compare your kids because their kids are about the same age or they're about the same grade level, but that's not fair either. These are all joy stealers. And if you feel like you don't have creativity or purpose, I hope that you'll continue to seek God or get on Pinterest. It always gives me motivation. Number 7 is play and rest. And this one is really hard, I think, for a lot of us. I always think of the movie Willy Wonka. We've got so much to do in so little time. But our world and self-worth is tied to that. How successful we are, right? What material things do you have? What car do you drive? Where are you going next week for spring break? What are you doing this summer? We base our worthiness on productivity, right? How busy you are, how busy your kids are, what sports they're doing, what clubs they're doing, how busy your social calendar is. We convince ourselves that we don't have time for mindless or for meaningless or sleep. And I feel like as moms, it's almost become normalized in society that we're just exhausted, right? Especially these TikToks, all these things you see, it's this exhausted, tired mom. And the truth truth is, we're dangerously overworked and tired. We shouldn't be as tired as we are, but society just keeps pushing us and pushing us. We're stressed to the max. Many of us don't have joy, but rest and play is crucial. So I hope that you'll take a time and make a list of things that make you happy, make your family happy, make your spouse happy. Things like home-cooked meals, movies, no extra work late. For us, it's Friday night. Coleman does not want to do anything on Friday night. Nothing. He doesn't want to go out to eat. He doesn't want to pick up. We have Friday night date night. While the kids eat their dinner, we do a little happy hour, and then we, have an appetizer, and then we put the kids down. We turn on Pandora, light the candles, and we have a date night. That's what he wants on Friday night. And you know what? That's what kind of sets the tone for our weekend. Puts him in a relaxed mood, and it gets our weekend started. Number 8 is calm and stillness. This is another really hard one. Because I was thinking, what a joke. Nobody has time to be calm or still. And calm and still don't actually have good connotations to me. Because we're constantly telling our kids, sit still, calm down, be still. So I'm like, why do we want to be calm and still? And it can actually induce anxiety, because as soon as I try to sit or be calm or take a minute for myself, I feel guilty because I'm hearing the laundry and I'm looking at my to-do list, and so I almost feel like guilty about having calmness to myself. I can hardly sit in a red light without picking up my phone. Like, that's how not calm and still. As soon as the red light comes, I'm like, oh god, that's really quick. It's so bad. Be calm. But when I started to read through the book, Renee was saying that calm is simply having mindfulness to manage your emotions. Don't try to take over the situation or be controlling over your life or be in the know all the time. You don't need to make decisions quickly. The best way to find your still and calm is in God. Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 through 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Number 9, meaningful work. We all have gifts and talents that give us a sense of meaning and purpose. Sometimes your gifts and talents can pay your bills, and you're really, really lucky for that. Sometimes your gifts and talents have to be side passions right now. But whether it's the focus of your everyday life or not, hopefully your gifts and talents are not masked ones. Hopefully you're able to be creative and let your work show. But if you're like me, and you stay at home and you feel trapped sometimes, remember that meaningful work is being a mom to the children that God gave you. Meaningful work is being their biggest cheerleader, their chauffeur, their chef, their nurse, their tutor, their source of love and light and hugs and kisses. And no matter what else you do in this world, remember that. Meaningful work can also be the wife and a woman of God. You don't have to get a big paycheck or one at all. And you don't have to do something big every day to save lives, because you're saving and growing your children's lives. Number 10, laughter, song, and dance. And this one seems a little silly because nobody's breaking out to dance, and nobody really breaks out into song. But it's super important for connection. Think about how a song or dance can make you connect with people. You have that song that comes on and you lock eyes with somebody and there's a connection. Laughter, song, and dance can create emotional and spiritual connections. They make you feel like you're not alone. Laughter can sometimes be the voice that says, I get you. Yes. I used to be so ashamed of my laugh because it's so loud and obnoxious. And I have to just try to embrace it because I'm like, you know what? I'm really joyful when I'm laughing. Like, I guess it's a good thing, but it's really obnoxious. But song, it can offer you a beautiful church song, and that's happiness, that touches you, that connects you. A Georgia football fight song, which that can connect you with, thousands of people. A song that can take you back to a time and place. When your kid gets in the car from Sunday school and they start singing an old Bible song, and you're like, oh, yes, I remember that. I can't say I break out into dance like I do, but think about pleasure and joy. We should stop and do that on occasion. But other people will make you feel like you should stop, right? It's uncool. What are you doing? But give yourself permission to be free. Have song and dance and laughter in your home, in your office, in your car. I can't tell you how many times I just get filled with joy when I'm driving down the road, not on my phone, only a spotlight, and you pass somebody and they're just like jamming out in your car, and you're like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Let's turn this up in here. But you just, it brings you joy, that happiness. Like, we should have that happiness. Psalm 126:2. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. Brene Brown inspired me with her gifts of imperfections. And I hope that she can inspire you. She's got lots of other books. They all kind of interweave, and she builds on them. And her manifesto of the brave and brokenhearted reminds me of how simply beautiful and perfect life can be, but also how brokenhearted it can be. So the manifesto of the brave and brokenhearted. There is no greater threat to the critics and cynics and fearmongers than those of us who are willing to fall because we've learned to rise. With skinned knees and bruised hearts, we choose owning our stories of struggle, over hiding and over hustling, over pretending. When we deny our stories, they define us. When we run from struggle, you're never free. When we turn towards the truth and look it in the eye, so we turn toward truth and look it in the eye. We will not be characters in our stories. Not villains, not victims, not even heroes. We are the authors of our lives. We write our own daring endings. We craft love from heartbreak, compassion from shame, grace from disappointment, courage from failure. Showing up is our power. Story is our way home. Truth is our song. We are brave and brokenhearted, and we are rising strong. So now here is my imperfect story. Some of you may be surprised to know that I never wanted to be a mom. Funny enough, at one time. As a young girl, where so many of you were playing mommy and you had baby dolls and strollers, I lined my dolls up like students. I played school and teacher all the time. My mom set up a classroom in the basement, and I grew up wanting to teach. And I did. I loved it. I was finishing up grad school to become a school librarian when one of my teacher friends set me up on a blind date with Coleman. We had a year of dating, and we got engaged in Nashville. But after becoming engaged, I kind of started thinking about it, and I was like, I need to know. I'm not having kids. So I told him, we can get married, but as long as you know, I don't want kids. He said, are you sure? No kids. None. Don't ask. No. All right. That's clear. We got married in 2013. I'm thinking, we're set. He's not going to ask. He's not really going to push. We're good. I started my job at Colin Ferry as the school librarian. And life was good. I mean, we were no kids, nothing to tie us down. We could travel, we could go, we could do. We made decent money because we didn't have kids to spend it on. But it was just okay. Life wasn't great, I wouldn't say. I wasn't fulfilled. So we'd been married for about 4 years. And then Coleman's biological clock started ticking. So I was like, okay. So I agreed, but not full-heartedly. We got pregnant right away. We heard the first heartbeat. And then went back 3 weeks later, and there was no heartbeat. My heart stopped. I was confused and shocked. We had a D&C set up for the next day. The doctor's office asked me to slip out the back so that no one in the waiting room could see my tears. I was sad, I was confused, I was so numb. Coleman and I had to call our parents because the D&C is a surgery. And we had to tell them the news, but nobody even knew we were pregnant. Y'all, the shame and embarrassment and sadness I had, it was unimaginable. I also have not seen my husband cry like that. After the surgery, I had a ton of emotions. I felt so lost. Where could I turn? We didn't go to church. We didn't have time for church, right? We're traveling. We're living this great single life. I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want to tell anybody that I worked with. But y'all, I was relieved, right? I didn't want to be a mom. So part of me was like, this is right. I didn't want this anyways. I was so lost. I went back to the doctor for the checkup, and she suggested I see a therapist. Oh, what? I can't tell my husband that. I can't tell my mom that. I'm supposed to go talk to somebody? So I wasn't sure. But being a librarian, I love books. So I got this one, Grieving the Child I Never Knew. And it's like a devotional thing. It was the first time in 15 years I cried out to God. It was an ugly cry. At the start of 2018, I was ready to try again. Thankfully, we got pregnant right away, so I couldn't chicken out. And this time I wanted to be a mom. I wanted it so bad. I wanted a baby to hold. I had peace about being a mom now, but I was so nervous. Was I going to be able to carry the baby this time? I worried all the time. I mean, if it moved, if it didn't move, right? I told Coleman I wanted to get one of those like little sonogram things for my head at home. But I was so sick, so I knew that must be a good sign. I mean, morning, afternoon, night. Work was changing a lot, and so was the role of the school librarian. I loved books and the book side of it all, but they wanted me to start teaching typing and dive into the STEM, and that really just wasn't what I was looking for. So Coleman gave me the opportunity to stay at home with Brooks, and I jumped on it. I said goodbye to teacher life after 9 years. The summer before I had Brooks, Coleman and I were having dinner at the Georgia Club, and I ran into an old friend from Snellville where I grew up. I was sharing how hard it was for me in this county, and I didn't know too many people, and I wasn't really ready to tell my story yet, and I had a hard time finding my way. So she told me about mom time. It was so out of my comfort zone. I wasn't even a mom yet. I didn't go to Grace or any church. I only knew a couple people. I showed up for the first September meeting, and Brooks was born 2 weeks later. Many, many people have been part of this Mom Time ministry. And my life has been changed forever because of it. Mom Time helped me find the Lord. Mom Time helped my husband find the Lord. Mom Time has helped me want my kids to know the Lord like I never was able to as a child. Mom Time has helped me find myself and purpose, because being a stay-at-home mom, or a mom in general, is lonely, it's hard. Nobody tells you how great you are. Your kids just keep asking you for more. Mom Time has given me a purpose where I feel like I don't belong. It used to be the day of the week that I got to shower and look beautiful and get dressed and ready. Mom Time has shown me how to be a mom, unlike what I saw as a child. Because what I saw was tired and stressed and just seemed miserable. A lot of times we got dropped off at church so she could grocery shop or get a break from us. I'm one of 3. But I feel joy and love every single day. And I want to share all of me and all of the Lord with my kids. Mom Time has given me a place to cry from a loss, but also show gratitude for the 2 that God gave me. Mom Time has given me so many friends when I didn't feel like I had in Davis County. Mom Time has given me so many wonderful mentors that are like second moms. Y'all have shown up more in my years at Mom Time than most people have. Mom Time has given me a home church. It's given me a safe place that I can grow and learn and love. And now I have to be myself and share it all, my story. I'm forever grateful for this life that I've been given, and it's so much more than I deserve, and it's so much more than I ever could have imagined, because clearly I imagined no kids. But the joy and love that I have as a mom is unlike anything I've ever felt. And I'm so thankful that God chose me to be mom to entrusting me to raise 2 children. I know I have a lot of imperfections, but I'm excited to see where God takes my family and me from here. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And I just shared my